Hi there guys, it's Joel here from Multi-Chart Trends. Today's market update is for the week ending Friday the 18th of January 2013. Today's update, we're going to be looking at the week in review of the smp500 and the asx200. Before we do that, I've got to remind everyone that asx200.com.au and this video are for educational purposes only. Nothing stated aside from this video is intended to be used as any form of investment advice. I'm the licensed professional. You need to make your own decisions regarding your investments. I'm just here to help anyone searching for a practical direction in today's markets. Okay, so looking at the hourly chart here of the S&P 500, for some time now we've just been tracking this inverted head and shoulders pattern with our left shoulder here, our head, and our right shoulder. Now, we do still have a target there of around that 1530 area as a minimum expected move from this pattern. Now, I must admit this week has been very hard tracking the short-term patterns there with the S&P 500. Let's just zoom in a little bit. Before we do though, I'll just remind you, these blue lines that we had drawn on the chart, I've just extended these lines out, and you'll notice that these lines probably will be technically significant in the next couple of weeks. So let's just zoom in on this little section here. Okay, looking here on the hourly chart, this week we've actually struggled with trying to figure out what was going on with the S&P 500. On Thursday's video I drew this blue line back on the chart, and I was saying that this looks like it was a little left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder that had formed. The only strange thing about this inverted head and shoulders pattern is after breaking over this neckline, we've seen a break underneath it, and the market just seemed to go sideways fairly much from the 10th of January all the way through to now. So it was good to see that we finally got a break of that 1475 area. Now overall we had a little target from this pattern, and by measuring the depth of this pattern and then just adding that onto where the market broke out, we could see there that we had a minimum expected target there of around that 1483 area. But it was unknown in Thursday's video whether we were actually going to be able to get over this line. Overall though guys, now that we are over this 1470, 1475 area, we've got these two areas of support here which the S&P was able to close over, so that's another signal of strength. Now I'm not too sure how technically significant these two lines are. We'll still keep them on the chart. But overall, these two blue lines that I was just talking about before, this should act as an area of rising support, and this top channel line here, you would think would act as an area there of resistance. So overall guys, things are looking quite good there with the S&P 500, and we've still got that target there up to that orange line up here of around that 1530 area. With that bullish view in mind, let's take a look at the asx200. Okay, looking on the hourly chart here of the asx200, in the last video that we did, I just moved this line from this point here, which lined up with these two bottoms down here, and I decided that I'd move this line down a little bit, just down to line up with these two bottoms down here. Now the reason being is you could easily interpret that this lines up just as good as what we previously had it drawn. So I've done that for an experiment, and funny enough, after the asx200 got over this area again, we had a nice bounce right on this area here. So we're going to keep this line here for now, and that's the only change that we've made. Otherwise, we don't really have a minimum expected target for the asx200 at the moment. We had this symmetrical triangle pattern this week that finally broke out by measuring the depth of the first reactive move down, and then we added that onto where the market broke out, and we had an expected target there around that 4,765 area. Now we've reached that target, and we've just gone pretty much sideways, and we're just hugging this green line now. So until this green line breaks, we'll then look for our next support levels that are quite lower to what they're currently sitting at. But overall guys, we've still got that target there with the S&P 500 up to the 1530 level. I think we're definitely heading up, and we'll probably end up tagging up on this line here. Now if we have a quick look on the daily chart, let me just explain what's going on there. This week on Thursday's video we also spoke about the asx200 is potentially coming up in a rising wedge pattern. Now that's defined by this bottom green line and this top green line, which has acted as support in the past a number of times. But if we just extend this line out, we can see that the asx200 has also found resistance at this level. The bullish thing that has happened, however, is we're able to get over this blue line. Now, if we just extend the chart out, okay, looking on a 6-year chart here, this week we also discussed the overhead resistance level on this purple line here. Every time that the asx200 has tagged this area, we've seen a push down, a rally back up, then resisted strongly back down. Another rally up, and then we'll come back down fairly hard. Now we're getting to that point again where the asx200 looks as if we're rallying up in that rising wedge pattern to around that 4,860, 4,870 level. And when we do, if and when we do get up to that level, we'll have to be very cautious as to see if the markets are going to top at this area, or if we're going to get over this level and keep going up. But for the moment, it looks as if that we do have a rising wedge pattern here, and you'd think that we may probably come back down. So we should eventually have an answer there around the 15th of February as to what the asx200 is going to do at this point. But we do also have a larger pattern that I've mentioned once or twice before, that this potentially here is our left shoulder ahead with a handle pattern here and a nice breakout with a small back test on this blue line. So we could be looking at a long-term target for the asx200 of around that 5,100 area as an expected target from this pattern. But we still have a few hurdles to get over, as we do have to see if this rising wedge pattern will break down and if we can get over this purple line. So it'd be interesting to see in the coming months what will happen there in the long term, because guys, if we can get over this purple line here, it leaves us open to get up into new highs, and that'll be very interesting if we can get up into the 5,000s. Okay guys, that's fairly much it for today. If you can pop past my website there at asx200.com.au, feel free to pop past here, have a browse around. You can feel free to go past the forum as well. And guys, don't be afraid to post in the forum. If you have a question about a certain stock, or if you're looking at something of interest, feel free to post a chart in there and we can talk about it and what its potential moves are. My updates are actually posted on tradingforblondes.com.au. Feel free to pop over there. Kay usually puts my updates on her website, and also cashtags.com.au. My updates are regularly featured on their website as well. Alright guys, that fairly much wraps up today's update. I'll be back on Monday with another free daily market update.